Welcome to All About Credit with Flo Williams, your Maryland Realtor, and Shyla Bassey, your credit consultant. We're going to go ahead and jump right in. So get your pen and paper ready to take notes. So my first question is, how is a credit score calculated?
Awesome, awesome. One of my favorite questions because there are 5 factors that create our credit scores. And the largest of those is our payment history, which makes up 35% of our score. And so if you happen to have just one late payment on your report, that can bring your credit score down up to 125 points. So payment history is the largest factor on your report. Now, the second factor is your utilization or your credit card use. This makes up 30% of your credit score. So to give you an example, let's just say you have a credit card and the limit is $1,000. You want to be sure that you don't exceed 30% of that card, which would be $300. Because as soon as you exceed that, now you're in what they call high utilization, which can cause your credit score to drop. Now, the third factor, this is your length of credit. So your maturity. The longer you keep accounts open, the better. And so I tell everyone, if someone encourages you to go close an older account, I recommend don't do it.
Right.
Because as soon as you close that account, you're also closing the history associated to it. Let me add more flavor to that. Let's just say you have an account that you've had for 10 years. If you close that account, you're closing 10 years worth of credit history that you can't get back once it's gone. So that's 15% of your credit score. Now, the fourth factor, 10% of your score is inquiries. So that could be soft inquiries, that can be hard inquiries. It's only 10% of your score. So I just encourage you, be intentional. If you don't need it, don't apply for it, because those inquiries, they can add up and cause you to lose some points on your credit report if you're applying before you're ready. And the fifth and final factor of your credit score is your credit mix. And there are 2 primary types of credit: installment loans, like a vehicle. You pay a fixed amount every single month. Once you pay it off, it's gone.
Yeah.
Then you have revolving, like a credit card. You always have access to the limit, but you can use it, pay it off, use it and pay it down. And those are the 2 different types of credit, which makes up the last 10% of your credit score. And so those are the 5 factors that create our credit scores.
Awesome. Awesome. That definitely happened to me. Something that had a history, and this is before I knew anything about credit. So that is definitely a good tip. That's definitely a good tip. Okay. So my next question is, what is the score range?
Yeah, I hear so many things. This one, truly, your range is from 300 to 850. The highest credit score is an 850. The lowest is a 300. And so that is the range for our credit scores.
Okay, awesome. All right. Now, why are there different credit scores reported through the bureaus?
Yeah, this happens a lot because there are scoring models that people use. For example, an auto loan lender is pulling a different score than a mortgage lender. And a mortgage lender is pulling a different score than an insurance agent, because they're looking for different factors when they're making their lending decisions. And so that's oftentimes when you're going to all these different credit monitoring tools, while they're all showing different numbers, that's because each of these websites is using their own desired specific scoring model to give you the number that you're seeing. And to add to that, the reason why all 3 of your credit bureaus are reflecting a totally different number is because each of these are independently owned corporations. And they do not communicate with each other as far as what they're reporting. They simply report and store information. Okay. That's all they do, which is why, Experian might have one of your credit cards reporting on it, and Equifax may not have it, because they don't communicate to share the exact same information on their report. So that's why you'll see different scores depending on where you're looking.
Gotcha. Makes total sense. Okay. So my next question is, it's definitely going to be beneficial to a lot of my clients. Do student loans negatively affect your credit score?
Okay. I've got a couple answers for this one. So it depends.
Okay.
So when it comes to student loans, believe it or not, for most people on their credit, student loans are actually what's helping their credit score. Okay. So what do I mean by that? When we talk about length of history, Student loans are oftentimes the loans that we've had for 5, 10, 15, sometimes even 20 years if they're not paid off. So imagine 20 years worth of history being gone.
Yeah.
That's what can cause a credit score to drop. So believe it or not, student loans can actually help your credit score. Now, here's how they can hurt your credit score. If you have late payments on your student loans, remember how 35% of our score is payment history?
Yep.
That's where student loans can negatively affect your credit if it's showing late payments on those accounts. Now, I'll add one more thing, especially when it comes to the buying process, for buying a home. Right. Student loans will affect the debt to income. It may not necessarily be your credit score. It might just be the impact on your debt to income ratio because of the total balances of those student loans. So that's why I say it depends.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good answer. Okay. So my next question is, what can actually be removed from a credit report?
Yeah. So, man, I'm sure we've all heard that myth that, man, we got to keep negative items on our credit for 7 to 10 years. And I love breaking down that myth because no matter what negative accounts, and I'm going to name a couple, they can be removed. So if it's late payments, if you've ever had collections, medical bills, repos, derogatory student loans. So if you've had late payments, those can be removed. You can also have bankruptcies that have been discharged, removed from your credit report. All of those derogatory marks can be removed. And all of us as consumers, we all have the right to dispute those items for deletion because of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So I always tell everyone, if you have any derogatory marks, genuinely, they can be disputed for deletion from your report.
You know, I always mix that up with those being disputed to be removed, and then those that you recommend paying off, you know, the old credit and the old collections. So I always got that confused. So I like the difference of that because that's definitely two different things, which brings me to my next question. Is it recommended to pay off old collections?
Ooh, so this is where I find many people, as they're going through the process of fixing their credit, where some can get stuck. And this is why I love this question, because what can happen is you absolutely can go pay anything you want off. Right. Whether you owe $10 or whether you owe $10,000, you can pay it off. However, these collection agencies or companies, they have no obligation to remove it from your credit report. They just want your money to satisfy that debt. So I always say for anyone, if you do have the desire, you want to clear your name, pay it off, you can. However, you just want to make sure you do get a paid to delete letter, basically a confirmation that if you pay, they will remove that from your credit report. So that's if you do desire to pay. Now, I have a lot of clients that we've worked with where they'll go through the dispute process first. Why? So that they can go through the process of getting that negative remark removed from their credit report so that it's no longer holding them back. And then they can make a decision whether or not they want to pay that particular collection account. And so I think it just honestly, it depends on the amount. If it's something small, $100, let's just take care of it, get a pay to delete letter. But if it's something larger and you know that you don't want to front that cost up front, let's go through the process of disputing those items first before you put that money on the table.
Yeah. Okay. And you actually answered my last question, which was, what should you get from those bureaus before you actually pay it off, which is, you said, the payoff removed demand letter. So that's awesome. And then I did just want to go back to the paying off the collections ones. Like, I know I've talked to some lenders and they're like, before you pay anything off, speak to a lender and let's see if that's actually going to affect your score, because that money that you could be using, that you're using to pay off those collections, could be used as a down payment or to help with closing costs. So it's always good to talk to someone before you start that process.
Yeah, 100% agree. That's great advice.
Yeah. So that was actually all I had today. Is there anything else that you think that would be beneficial for clients to know?
Absolutely. I always say never be in the dark about where your credit stands. And one of the best places to start is pull up your credit report. If you don't know if you have any negative accounts or what may be affecting you, annualcreditreport.com will allow you to pull your credit reports for free every single week. And a good place to start if you're just trying to assess where you are is to pull up your credit report. And you can just take I will say, peruse through that report to see if there's anything on there that does not look like it's yours. But you, of course, are in incredible hands with Miss Flo to make sure that you are on track to reach your desired goals for home ownership. So I would start there so that she can get you on the right path with your goals.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you. And you've been an awesome partner on the credit specialist side. I did want to ask you, which since you brought up annual credit report, how do you feel about Credit Karma? Does that actually give you your score, or is that just like an idea of what your score is?
So let me talk about what I enjoy about Credit Karma.
Okay.
What I do enjoy about Credit Karma is it does give you a good indication of what's taking place on your credit. So they have this see what's changed button, which will let you know, especially like for my clients, if something got deleted, they're going to visibly see what got removed and that see what's changed. And they do a great job of showing the credit factors. That's what I enjoy. Okay. The con about Credit Karma is that the score that it is reflecting is a totally different scoring model than what a lender will show.
Right.
Why, if you're, as a client, if you're showing this to your lender, like, wait a minute, Credit Karma said I had a 740. How do I have a 620?
Exactly. That's happened.
That's the main con about Credit Karma, because that one is not your FICO score. Yeah. And so that's why when a lender's pulling it, why there is such a drastic difference. So I would just say leverage it as just a means of an idea of where you are, but know that the score is a little more fluffed than what a lender will pull. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Shyla.
And I also want to thank everyone for watching All About Credit with myself, Flo Williams, your Maryland Realtor, as well as Shyla Bassey, your credit consultant. If you have any questions for either one of us, our contact information is below. And remember, until next time, always go with the flow.